honorable ministers, and all of the esteemed delegates present. Thank you so much for this opportunity to stand here. I will just say, this is the water from UNAM's desalinated plant. We actually bottle it in Henties Bay at our campus. So if you need some, you know where to find us. I have some more over there if you want to take it for a taste test. But taste testing revealed that it is the best product on the market. So, let's see, what was green was forward and red was back, right?
That's correct.
Okay, now the Prof. Okay, so I was asked to speak about the Namibia Green Hydrogen Research Institute. We're hosting it at UNAM, but it is in its structure supposed to be, and function, supposed to be a national institute. So, what it is, the goal of it is essentially to provide research for the green hydrogen market for Namibia in particular. So we want a research and development hub. We want to provide for exchange of expertise, and I want to tell you that we've already done that. So it's not only, what it is supposed to provide, but what it is already providing. We have already been hosting visiting researchers, and we've already been hosting also master's students. We want to upskill and reskill mid-level to professional levels. And in this regard, it is also happening. With, for instance, the BUM Institute in Germany, that is the Federal Institute for Material Science, Bundesanstalt für Materialforschung und Prüfung. We've already started to revise and add components into our Masters in Renewable Energy, and that is a stream in hydrogen and synthetic fuels. What we've also done is, under that, for reskilling, we've also added a curriculum is under development for blockchain technologies. We're working with a partner in Rwanda on that, with the Africa, Blockchain Institute. And then we are also developing short courses, again, together with various partners, such as hydrogen safety and handling. We spoke about it yesterday, the need for that. We are looking at materials compatibility for hydrogen, etc. So with that, it is already happening. So that's why I'm saying, even though we're looking at the goals, we're already fulfilling some of those goals. And then collaborate with organizations who develop local businesses. Now, this institute was established in October 2021. And yesterday, we witnessed how we were all very excited to see the announcement of the pilot projects. There were how many pilot projects selected? 4. Sure, of course you would know that. And out of those 4, the Research Institute and UNAM were partnered to 3. 3 out of 4. Guys, we deserve a round of applause. I don't know, I was trying to contain my excitement, but I'm really, truly excited. And then in addition to this collaboration and skilling and research, we're also providing weekly seminars since last year already on Wednesdays at lunchtime. That's for the public, on green hydrogen. So there's a number of things that are going on, and in addition to that, we are also deepening our research topics and areas for green hydrogen, and recruiting more masters and PhD students. I also got roped into sort of supervising some of those students. So let's just say it is happening. And then another thing we're also in industry, there's oftentimes research. So we're pretty excited about that. And then, of course, we will be working on all of the cool pilot projects. Okay, so that's a little bit about the introduction of what it was intended to do and what it's doing already. But what does it look like? And this is what it looks like. We have under the Research Institute, which is virtually distributed at the moment, we have labs all over different campuses and researchers who are not yet dedicated in one center, but actually working within their labs with their own students. So we have a center for hydrogen production. This talks to desalination, wind, solar, electrolysis, etc. So that's what we're doing in there. Then we have a center for hydrogen storage, new materials and delivery. We, for instance, have a new materials lab that we have inaugurated in March this year at our southern campus, where the geosciences is located. Another one that we have is we have a Center for Hydrogen Fuel Cell Technology and Mobility Applications. The very energetic Dr. Shifura, whom I'm not seeing now, is one of the researchers actually in fuel cell technologies. And in fact, they have a lab that specializes in thin films. And so they're also looking on how to sort of develop and innovate, I guess, new materials for that. Then we have a Center for Hydrogen Energy Use, Economics, Law, Environment, and Society. Because hydrogen is not only about the technical stuff, but it's also about all of the things that's surrounding us. How does it impact communities? You know, what's going to happen? Yesterday we spoke a lot about environmental law. And then, of course, tomorrow we'll speak about the economics. We're looking at use within Namibia as well. You know, use as fertilizer, use possibly, you know, as fueling the trucks. We're looking at, for instance, at one of the engineering campuses to convert the engines right here in Namibia to use green hydrogen, right? So engine conversions is all part of this. Then we have a Center for Hydrogen Capacity Building, Competence and Standards, and this is where we're talking about capacity development, human resource development. This is the sort of almost like a progress report that I'm giving, where we're looking at which curricula is not conforming, which curriculum needs to be updated, which new ones need to come in. Because we, for instance, have a lot of engineering degree offerings in Namibia, but we don't have chemical engineering as a degree offering, for instance. So those are some of the gaps that we're looking at and how to address it. And I don't want to go into the how, because we do not always have all of the skills and expertise right here in Namibia, which means that we have to partner. And as academia, it's natural for us to partner with professors from a different university, and then in so doing, bring in the expertise or do the capacity building. Of course, there's a whole section on upskilling and reskilling for not only your formal courses, but as we see, we're developing short courses as well, but the TVETs have a big role to play. And the Institute will not replace sort of, you know, what the TVET sector has to do, but rather collaborate, right? So that we strengthen each other, because institutional strengthening, especially amongst the educational institutions, is one of the core goals of what we're striving for. Then we have a Center for Hydrogen Digital and Emerging Technologies. There's quite a lot of technologies within green hydrogen that is still, you know, in its infancy or immature, and they're very expensive because of that. So we're collaborating with different research institutes in different parts of the world to see how best, you know, or what is being done with that. We, for instance, have projects with KU Leuven in Belgium, where we're looking at the production actually just from, capturing it from the humidity in the air, as an example. So we're constantly looking at new ways. One of the things that we're doing as well is we're working on recruiting a Fulbrighter, currently from the US. We're working with the US Embassy on that, in green hydrogen, who will be within our institute. So those are numerous examples of that. Of course, I am, as everybody knows, I am passionate about digital technologies. And within this entire production, right, where we are striving to go, there's a lot of digital technologies that come in. There's a lot of AI, there's a lot of IoT, there's a lot in the manufacturing, and one of the things we are striving to do is to look at how can we also set up sort of learning factories, where you simulate the environment within factories, simulate the technologies to be used. We have, for instance, the blockchain technologies for creating a verifiable record for tracking, whether all of your sources were green throughout your supply chain. So those are, and that will answer the question, because people always ask, what does blockchain have to do with green hydrogen? And that's essentially it. There are, in fact, entire centers in the world built around just blockchain technologies for energy, not only green hydrogen, but for energy. Okay, so one of the things that I want to touch on, I can't see Denver, so I guess I'm still good. Didn't check my time. One of the things is that we have to look at the enabling environment, the enabling legislation, the sustainability options for the Research Institute, for us, as well as the environmental sustainability. So all of it, I think, is a chain that is interconnected. Now, I was asked to speak about the successful pilot projects that UNAM had, but instead, I thought, let me focus a little bit on, why UNAM was sort of so excited to jump on board with this Green Hydrogen Research Institute. First of all, we have in our strategic plan explicitly put as a strategic goal climate change mitigation and adaptation, which means that whatever we're doing at the university, we are actually trying to see how do we meet this goal, and how do we go about, meeting that goal. So whether we have the seeds project that we have, that's looking at drought-resistant seed varieties in a variety of seeds, and in the potatoes project, and where we are busy with replication, multiplication, you can see that speaks to climate change. So the pilots in desalination we have at our Henties Bay campus, the Sam Leoma campus, and from that water that we have, that's powered by solar, and from that water that we have, we are bottling some of the water, and that is because of regulatory hindrances that we had before. NAM Water, for instance, is the only bulk water supplier. So you have restrictions on that. Then we are also sort of doing desert agriculture. So we have, for instance, different types of vegetables, etc., in our greenhouses that we're experimenting with in a desert environment. We have 800 olive trees that we've planted, and so on and so on. The list goes on with what we're doing with it. Then we also have, of course, the wind project in Luderitz, which was a community project that was requested by the community. It was powering their charity project. For UNAM, it was a demonstration project to show that this can work. We handed over the project to the community, but when we handed it over, we made sure that 5 of the community members were actually trained as technicians. The sad story about that project is actually that all of the sewing machines got stolen, the transformers got stolen, and everything got stolen. So we're Yes. So now you're saying we can move on. Okay, so at UNAM we have over 70 researchers who's actually working, with areas or topics related to green hydrogen. And this is why it was such a natural fit. However, we also have 5 researchers from NUST working with the Institute. And then, as you could see yesterday with the pilot projects, we have a host of other local and international partners working with us. I think one of our strengths, especially looking at green hydrogen, was the first thing we started doing when we engaged with partners to look at where are we setting up pilot plants. Because I do believe that pilot plants are the way to go, sort of to test our technologies, to test, how does it interact, etc., with the environment, etc. And this is what we have. We have a lot of land available. Some of them are farms. That's where we have our crop production, etc. And some of it is, of course, we have 12 campuses spread across the country. But this is what we had availed, and we said, okay, to partners, okay, where do you need to set up a pilot plant? Let's see what we can do as UNAM. Okay, this is just the desalination plant. This is the water that we're producing. This is some of the hydroponics projects. And as I said, desert agriculture that we're doing. This is, of course, the wind project. So, Denver, in a minute. Oh my goodness, I'm pushing for a minute again. Anyway, so for us, when we set up like pilot plants, we have to show impact. And pilot plants should also serve to upskill, reskill, and capacitate. Whether it is your researchers, whether it is the people, like students from TVETs, for instance, can come into your pilot plants, help with construction on some things, etc. So it should be a capacitating endeavor as well. But we need regulatory sandboxes. I, for one, am not going again through some pilot projects where we cannot move on, we cannot upscale, we cannot provide free water to a section of the community, to a hospital, to a school, can't provide free electricity to that. It doesn't serve, if we are so hindered that we can't show that impact, what does it mean for communities? Why are you setting up this pilot plant and testing it? And then, of course, I think we're looking at research chairships and scholarships in the future, much more of that. But we need specialist training for our training of trainers, for our trainers. And that be it TVETs, be it in the university, we can quickly upskill people. They don't need to go and redo everything. And then we will be doing a replication model where we will have a critical mass of trainers who can train quickly others. And then green hydrogen, of course, needs different layers of skilled personnel. So it's not only specialists, but it's also, let's say, for instance, in the, entrepreneurs, could be caterers, could be cleaners. All of them form part of our green hydrogen sort of value chain. And then one thing that's important for me, and that's my final point, Denver, coordination and collaboration for skills development in this country is a prerequisite. We cannot be pulling in different directions. We have to, all of us, just like the Green Hydrogen Council, I think it's one of the best success stories, have these ministers sitting, and meeting, whether they meet every 2 weeks or so, but they sit together and they sort of say, how do we solve this, this, this? So for us, on skills development and capacity building, all actors need to come together and play a role. With that, I thank you.